What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? We're going to get into LSU's face-off in the Texas Bowl against Baylor, which is only what? Are we on the 30th or are we the 29th right now? We're on the 29th, yes. Very close, very close. Only less than 48 hours away here. Well, technically starting, it'll be like almost halfway through the game right now in 2 days from now. So LSU face off against former 2019 defensive coordinator Dave Aranda's Baylor Bears in a game I was expecting for a while. You know, I thought maybe LSU would have a square off against Dave Aranda and Baylor a lot earlier than, I mean, how long's it been since he took that job? He took that job, January of 2020? It's been more than 4 years now, over 4 years now, nearly 5 years. Yeah, literally it would be like a few weeks away from 5 years since he took the job at Baylor. LSU have never had a square off against Baylor in any setting, postseason or otherwise, and this will be the first against Dave Aranda's Baylor, and it's going to be very interesting, very intriguing for me because it's not just about seeing a guy like Greg Penn III play his final game, or this guy play his final game, or how is Nussmeier going to play? Like, we kind of know some of the answers to some of those questions already. Still want to see the best from Nussmeier, of course. Still want to see Greg Penn III go out on a high. Still want to see Braden Swinson go out on a high. Guys like that. Josh Williams, of course, but at the same time, this for me is a game really about almost like a preseason game for 2025, and you've got that vibe with DJ Pickett practicing, Harlem Berry, Damian Shanklin, all practicing with this team right now. Part of the 2025 class, freshmen. Elite athletes, but also elite mentality players who are going to be all early enrollees as well. They're already in there getting reps with LSU in the purple and gold, getting practice reps. I saw footage from the Verdon Verdict. Jacob Verdon, go subscribe to his channel. Great stuff. He had some killer footage of Jacoby Stevens working with one-on-one with DJ Pickett. What an experience for DJ Pickett to have. What an experience for all these guys to have. And that's the thing. Those opportunities are very, very rarely given out. And they're usually given out to guys that, Stingley, he had an opportunity like that when he was a freshman to practice with a bowl team. I believe Max Johnson, TJ Finley, a few other guys had the chance with the 2019 team as well. The Joe Burrow team, of course. So there's been those type of opportunities doled out before, but this just sends a message to me, along with so many of the holes across this team going into the game, as well as, maybe there's not a hole, but there's a guy who's a solidified starter who's going to be going into his, junior or only sophomore year coming up here in 2025, like for instance, Whit Weeks. Aside from those type of spots, there's some holes on this team, and I want to see which young players are willing to say, hey, I'm going to step up here, take that job, send a message where, like, okay, maybe there's a guy coming in the portal for this spot, and maybe the fans are starting to overlook me. Boom, I get 2 interceptions, get 2 touchdown catches. Somebody who just comes up and just really changes the narrative of how we see them as fans, and see them as media. I want to see that type of playmaking from these guys. But here's the thing. It's a bowl game. These games really, you don't want to say meaningless game, but yes, you want to get to 9 wins. Yes, you want to finish strong. Yes, you want all these things to end the season on a high. But you've seen it. I've seen it. Cam Ward for Miami opting out at halftime. There's this type of stuff that happens nowadays where these games are very much secondary to what else is going on. Oh, wow. RIP to former President Jimmy Carter, who lived to the age of 100. Breaking news, Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, dead at 100. Wow. Rest in peace to President Jimmy Carter. That's terrible. That's sad to hear. I actually thought he had already died. Like, I wasn't really up on that, on his his status, but I knew he was extremely old. But wow, dead at 100, lives to 100, incredible. What a great philanthropist that guy was as well. Better philanthropist than he was a president, probably. But no, LSU versus Baylor in Houston. This is a game where you're going to see what LSU's youth movement is made of. Okay. Gabe Relaford stepping up for Savion Jones, Braden Swinson. How long are those two guys going to play? From what I'm hearing from Miles Frazier's pregame interviews, from Greg Penn III's pregame interviews, it seems to me like this is going to be – these guys are going to play the first half. And unless it's extremely competitive, there's a burning desire to play every single snap. You've got a record that you could break. It could really help your draft stock. Some type of just scenario that just starts happening. Unless that happens, these guys are going to be handing off to the young people, young Tigers, for the majority of the game, or at least the second half. That seems to be the plan. Let's hope that works, because Javian Toviano, we've wasted 2 years of this guy's eligibility. 2 years of this guy's eligibility we have just wasted. Okay. And now Brian Kelly announces he's going to be playing safety in this bowl game. And it seems to me that, who else, with Major Burns opting out of the bowl game, who else is going to be there to play safety but Javian Toviano and Deshaun Spears? That's going to be a very interesting pairing to watch. It's going to be a very interesting trial to see those two. And guess what? Guess what Baylor does against defenses in the passing game better than anything else, passing-wise? Throwing the ball over the top, beating you over the top, crushing safeties with the football over the top. So that is something that Javian Toviano, Deshaun Spears, they will be tested. This will be a game where these safeties will be tested, these young safeties. And I'm really interested and intrigued. I know it's a bowl game, and I know a lot of people don't get up for this stuff. I do, because it's like, this is a crazy opportunity, almost in like suspended animation, to see what some of these guys are made of. You got Major Burns, JVR Suggs, who've opted out. Greg Penn III, Braden Swinson, Savion Jones, Miles Frazier will play in the bowl game, like I said, and will probably hand that thing off, as has been hinted. But here's the thing. The safety position is a place where LSU has not found a ready-made remedy just yet in the portal, like we expected. There is a name they are closing in on from the SEC. a former LSU target that LSU was close to signing a few times. This is I'm not sure if he was committed to LSU at any point in his recruitment, but he may have been. I'm not 100% sure on that, so I don't want to say that and be mistaken. But this player, this safety from the SEC, if from definitely from a rival. If this team let this kid go, LSU have to pounce, have to get him. And I understand that Toviano, Deshaun Spears, that's an interesting duo. Let's see how they play. So I get that. We still need to stack the safety position. LSU has been blasphemous at the safety spot for years. Blasphemous. The safety play has been so terrible. And it's been hot to cold at times. There's been times that they've made plays, and there's times it's been absolutely atrocious. And most, not 8 out of 10 times, it's been atrocious to the 2 times where they make a rare play. And that goes across the board for everybody who's been playing there at that safety position for the last few years. I mean, really since even 2019, I think you could say. And Jay Ward, I think, is one of the players I wouldn't include in that list, because Jay Ward, he actually made plays, he clocked the miles, he made tackles. Yes, he had some misses, he had some times he was beat, but Jay Ward was actually really damn good for LSU. Outside of Jay Ward, safety has been a position where LSU have been bankrupt for way too long. And I think now they're close to figuring it out, because Javian Toviano, who I thought he was a corner too. And I was like, I remember talking to Kerry Cooks, former LSU assistant safeties coach, who was telling me that, I want to make Toviano next, because this was in 2023. He was like, I want to play Toviano next year at safety. That's where he's supposed to be playing. This was after Toviano had a good first start against Alabama, and it was first start of his career, thrown into the fire completely at corner against Alabama, and he played very, very well. I think he made one mistake, but outside of that, was awesome. And Kerry Cooks told me he should be playing safety, and I was kind of like, whoa, really? I know he's versatile. I know he can play different roles. You guys have experimented, but that's really the plan. He's firmly going to be a safety. And Kerry Cooks is like, yep. And for some weird reason in 2024, no progress was made at all with that plan. I don't understand that. I don't understand why there was no progress made with a plan that gets a very versatile piece of the puzzle and gives them finally kind of like an ironclad position where they can make a home, make it their own, because Javian Toviano hasn't had that for 2 seasons. And he barely played his freshman year. He just started games at the back half due to injury. Starting against Alabama, against Florida, another game where he was incredible. Florida, he had a fumble recovery and 10 tackles in that game. He was awesome. There was a game where he got flagged and Kelly was really up in his grill and going at him. But Toviano, that's a player who can fend off a lot of the hey, this guy's coming in the portal, he's going to take over your job kind of thing. I think this is a kid who can actually fight for that job and actually win that battle. Deshaun Spears, he played very little after a few big, crucial run fit misses, coverage misses. I didn't think he was too bad. These were mistakes I expected him to make as a freshman, to be honest. And he played better at times as a freshman than I expected as well. This was a performance in 2024 I didn't really find to be that offensive. There's some fans who kind of think, differently about some of these things. But for me, I didn't think Deshaun Spears was that bad this year. I thought Deshaun Spears was actually pretty good. There were some moments that really, exposed him as a freshman. But I actually like what he could potentially bring with that length he has to the safety position, to that, especially the free safety position. And then you have Toviano at that strong safety spot, technically. I mean, you can do it however you want. You can have two free safeties back there for all I care. Like, just cover the back end and support the star. That's what's interesting to me. Watching those two at safety, but also who is going to play star in this game? Who's going to play star against Baylor, guys? Gals? Anybody? Who is going to play star against Baylor? Devon Keys? He's got the coverage abilities to play star. He's got the coverage abilities to play nickel. He's a linebacker. He's a young linebacker. He's got the pace. I wouldn't say quite the pace you would absolutely say can play star. He's got a little bit more of the traditional linebacker pace, even though he's still fast, still lengthy. And Devon Keys is incredible in coverage, actually, as you've seen this year. Dropped a few interceptions that he should have caught, but showed incredible coverage on those plays. He's been incredible in coverage since I've seen him play at Aledo. Kid is just fantastic at reading the game. Even then, he is slower than other potential candidates at that star spot. Who should play star in your opinion? There's over 300, 400 people watching this right now. Who should LSU put at the star position? Well, I should say, who should Blake Baker put at the star position? We've got that question right there on the screen. Who should LSU play at star? There's no Major Burns, and I wouldn't have played him at the star to begin with. I know that sounds so, of course you'd say it, but if you watch our content, go back through all of it, you can clearly see that's what we've been saying from the beginning. We wanted Harold Perkins to be the star. But Devon Keys, Jordan Allen could have been a potential star position, but that guy has transferred as well. Kylan Jackson would have been potential for that star position. He's transferred as well. I'm not really criticizing that they've transferred. I'm just more saying that's a fact. Let's see here. You go through LSU's defensive list of players, and we are really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I think Devon Keys might be actually our only option at star. I'm trying to look at Jordan Gilbert. Are you going to play? Here's the thing. That actually might be it. Jordan Gilbert. What am I thinking? Of course it's going to be Jordan Gilbert. They're going to have, you know what? You have Gilbert, and as much as I don't think he had a great season or even a good season, Jordan Gilbert, his first year at LSU, I think he can get better. 48 tackles, 1 TFL, half of a sack. He did have an interception, 3 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, 1 forced fumble. Got beat on some big plays, both in coverage and on the ground. I think you put him at safety because you've got nobody else. You have Deshaun Spears at the free safety spot, and then you play Toviano at star. I know they're saying they're going to play Toviano at safety, but maybe that's a smokescreen to move Toviano to the star position. I think that would get more out of the lineup because I just look at the names and I'm just like, LSU don't like Devon Keys, and that's a stretch. That's a stretch. And maybe you change systems. Maybe you just go with 3 linebackers because West Weeks is available. And even though he's played his 4 games, he will not affect his redshirt status for next season if he plays this 5th game because it is a postseason game. It will not account against his eligibility, which is just awesome, which is what we said when we originally reported the news about West Weeks and his red shirt, was that him getting this red shirt was literally going to be like stealing a season. And it would have been greater, even better of a move if LSU had gone on a long playoff run, of course. But, beggars can't be choosers, whatever. But who plays at star? Who plays at star? That to me is such an interesting question. Because I think you put Toviano there. I don't think Gilbert has the athleticism to do it or the range. I think he's more suited to that strong safety role, even though he underperformed there as well. I know he's better than what he showed in 2024, and I think Jordan Gilbert should get better. But Deshaun Spears, put him at the free safety spot, use his length, use his range, but kind of keep him out of the fray in a way with the positioning, because there's some times where the tackles, the misses have been critical. But linebacker, you could do away with the whole star thing to begin with. You could just get rid of the whole star position and just go with Whit Weeks, Devon Keys, West Weeks, or take that back. Greg Penn III will be playing in this game. He did, unlike a lot of other people who I just think automatically have opted out. Greg Penn III will be playing in this game, and so it's probably going to be Greg Penn III, Whit Weeks, of course, and then Devon Keys. That'll probably be the 3. That'll probably be the 3 lineup. But you could then rotate West Weeks in there with Devon Keys, rotate those guys, and get a rotation going there. And that actually might be the better way to do it, in my opinion, against this Baylor team. Because, yes, Baylor, here's the thing. This Baylor team, they've got the same record as LSU. This is a team that has been underperforming as well in a way with their talent, but they've also been punching up in another way. Offensively, they shouldn't have been anywhere near as good as they were this year. They had some really close losses. They nearly came back and beat BYU at one point. Yeah, look at it. They lose by 7 to Colorado. Lose by 6 to BYU. Illustrating my point. They win by 3 over TCU on the other flip side of the coin there. Win by 10 over Houston. And then look at that. 45-17 over Kansas. They have been dropping a lot of points. 45 over Kansas. 49 over West Virginia. 37 over TCU, 38 over Oklahoma State, 59 over Texas Tech in a shootout, and then 45 earlier in the season where their offense was pretty poor, and then they completely turned it on the second half. So LSU are going up against an offense that scored a lot in the Big 12. Okay. Scored a lot against some of these teams. Utah, high ranked when they beat them. Ohio State, Iowa State, BYU. All of these teams were somewhat in the mix, college football playoff wise for the top 12. But You have to have a feeling, though, that the talent they're about to play, even with LSU's defense taking a step up from 2023, but not being the intense, huge leap that LSU fans were hoping for. This is a talented group that Baylor should have trouble with, even with some of the pieces stripped bare. You basically still have your defense there. You still have Braden Swinson playing. You still got Savion Jones playing. You still got Greg Penn III playing. Second leading tackler on the team the last 3 years, Greg Penn III. We just wrote a feature article on him on the site. If you're interested in Greg Penn III, we just put that on the site. He made our top 10 Tigers of 2024 list, which is now active and live on the site and has been kicking ass and continuing to how should I put it? Continuing to roll out the countdown as it unfolds. Tyler DuPont says LSU played 3 linebackers against Oklahoma and Vandy. Guess it depends on what Baylor does on offense. That's the thing, is Baylor, they're a run-heavy team. And their leading receiver has 643 yards. And LSU aren't in any position to talk. But yeah, 643 yards leading receiver. He did have 9 touchdowns, though, Josh Cameron. But rushing the ball, Bryson Washington over 1,000 yards this season, 5.9 per carry. Dawson Pendergrass, 608. He's the second leading rusher. Both those guys had over 100 carries each. Richard Reese, 56 carries, 233 yards. Sawyer Robertson, the quarterback, also himself had 227 yards and 4 touchdowns and rushed for 59 times. So this is a very unique and dynamic offense when it's flying, where you've got a dual threat, sneaky Sawyer Robertson. And these type of quarterbacks have given LSU trouble even more than the dynamic, dynamo dual threat guys, where they can run the football and they're gonna kill you. Bo Nix, ran for over 200 yards on LSU in 2020? Some of these quarterbacks, these white guys who you don't think can run really well, have absolutely crucified LSU. And I think Greg Penn III, his final LSU game, I would love to see him just nope, we're putting a stop to this. We are not allowing this to happen. We are going to absolutely destroy Sawyer. Just bury this Sawyer Robertson. There's some fake story that was going around about Sawyer Robertson and Dave Aranda have been suspended. And it was so weird. I didn't know what to make of it. It was kind of a strange thing, strange post. But you've seen DJ Pickett and Harlem Berry and Damian Shanklin in these practices with LSU, and you love to see what's going on here. You love to see the bridge to the next era of LSU football. This was some of the rodeo bowl thing they were doing. I don't even know what this is. Obviously, it's them versus Baylor and rodeoing and stuff. But yeah, footage of LSU's team before this game. They're at the Texas Bowl. There's Slade Roy, my man Slade Roy. There's Colin Hurley. Colin Hurley took one for the team there and got inside that thing and rolled around. So did LSU win this thing? Yep. Okay, well, let's go kick their ass on the field as well. So that's the thing. That's the thing about this game is I'm worried more about the defense. I'm focusing more on the defense, and I know maybe that's a little paranoid concerning we have our defensive guys still there, mostly in place. Even if we're losing Swinson, Savion Jones, we've got them there. Yes, we lose Major Burns, but not really a loss as far as like allowing touchdowns and things like that. Like he was a hell of a Tiger, and he played football at a level that I can't even fathom. But he made some huge errors for LSU, and let's just be real about that. And he's a solid Tiger, but he wasn't a great one. And we need to move on from that era of really poor safety play at LSU. I hate to be as blunt as I am right there and as cold-blooded as that is, but LSU have been so bad at safety for years. For years. Like I've said, Jay Ward, the only safety that comes to mind that really held his own at the back end for LSU since Grant Delpit won the Thorpe and Kerry Vincent had 5 interceptions in a single season, and Jacoby Stevens left as well. Jacoby Stevens, he had a great year in 2019, and then even he gets the number 7 in 2020. Jacoby Stevens may have had an okay year, but he didn't have a great year in 2020. So even in 2020, Jacoby Stevens took a step back. That was crazy. That was shocking for me. So point is, LSU have got to get somewhere with the safety position. We're sick of it. We're done with it. It's got to change. There's no more just, hey, you know what? You were great for LSU. Like, let's just keep you around. Have you play nonstop. It cannot be like that anymore. It cannot happen. LSU has too rich of a tradition, too brilliant of an absolute dynasty that could be possible here. Too deep of a cachet of talent to call upon. A pool of endless footballing talents in the state of Louisiana. And then if you need to call upon Texas, the state of Georgia, Florida, you've got guys like Bo Davis who can win in Texas, guys like Corey Raymond who can dominate Florida. You know, you got Cortez Henkin who makes Georgia his bitch. Like this is a staff that can really make LSU go to that next level. I've been saying it for a while, and that's why I've been saying steadfastly that the Fire Brian Kelly crowd that were shrieking at the top of their lungs at the end of last season, I was like acknowledging, okay, I get the shortcoming there. Okay, I understand why you're pissed off at Kelly there. Or maybe I disagreed with them on something with Kelly, you know, how they hated Kelly or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's not his problem or whatever it was. You can say whatever you want. Kelly has built this incredible staff top to bottom. And you want to blow that up? Not to mention you're going to blow up LSU financially. You're going to blow up half the team. Half the roster is going to go. You've already lost, like, what, a quarter of the roster left in the portal? Like, it was just very short-sighted. People thought only 8 wins in the regular season and only 9. Like, get rid of Kelly, cut his throat. It was like, I understand the Florida loss was so bad. Like, how did that happen? The Alabama loss. You walk out there and lifeless against Alabama. and it's Kalen DeBoer. This isn't Nick Saban. This is Kalen DeBoer. You let him do that to you at home? Like, that's just... It's going to take a while for that to be made up for, okay? Like, I get it. But Texas A&M loss, you didn't even prepare for Marcel Reed. Like, I get it. But there's got to be some type of grace afforded this incredible all-star, all-world staff. A guy in Blake Baker that the players already love, the players already dedicated to playing for, giving everything for. What he's done with the linebackers, too, is next level. And this is a future head coach in Blake Baker. And then you got Joe Sloan, who has been destroyed for the play calling last year. And a lot of times, rightfully so. Sometimes I can see why he's getting kind of spanked for no reason, because he'll call the sickest play call that will just absolutely slice the throat of the defense. Just a back-breaking play call, and it will just be dropped, or terrible execution with the offensive line that will just blow it to pieces. And so he'll look bad because, oh my God, what a terrible play call. I mean, it's like, it has nothing to do with the play call. It had everything to do with everything breaking down on the field. So Joe Sloan, I think, needs somebody to come in there and help him. He does not need to be demoted. He doesn't need to be thrown out with the wolves. Throw the Sloan out with the bathwater. That was ridiculous. I've said this again and again and again, and I'm going to say it every time on my show for people who jump in and back on and off with our content. You want to get rid of Joe Sloan? Okay. But then don't come crying to me a year later when you're saying, how come we can't recruit quarterbacks again? We haven't been able to get this guy or this guy or this guy, and we brought in, this high-paid offensive coordinator. We brought in Tommy Reese. We brought in this guy. How come we can't get? Well, that's why, because you got rid of Joe Sloan. You can say whatever you want about Joe Sloan's play calling. I get it. There's also terrible execution. There's also a lot of protection issues. Huge problems with the running game that were also on him as well for designing it and it failing that way. But also some just horrid execution. You really go through the film. It's both. Can Sloan improve? Of course, especially with the same quarterback. To dismiss this guy, as people have, I find outrageous and kind of hilarious, because that's the truth. You want number one quarterbacks to be committed to your team for a year, and if you had your NIL stuff in position, a month ago, you would have him. 2 months ago, you'd have him. But you live and you learn. Like, you're still going to be able to go after Elijah Havens. You're still going to be able to go after every top quarterback in the future because you have Joe Sloan, and because that man and recruiting quarterbacks is just hand in hand something perfect for him. He is just great at that and developing quarterbacks. You've seen it with Jaden Daniels, and you've seen it with Nussmeier. As much as you want to say the opposite, you've seen it with Nussmeier. He had a hell of a season, despite everything against him and in his way, obstacles from opposition and from his own team. Stan Waters says, "Thanks for the good work during the holidays." No problem, brother. What do you mean? This is what I do, brother. And LSU are about to play a football game. And it's actually going to be on a holiday, and I'm going to be working on that day. Like, it's going to be crazy. I'm going to be covering a game while at work for the first time in, I don't think this has ever happened where I've had to cover a game at work, because it's always on a Saturday or a Sunday, sometimes a Sunday randomly, stuff like that. But the bowl games, sometimes these bowl games end up on weird days, and ours is on a day where we're going to be working, and I'm going to be at work It's going to be crazy. But thank you, brother. Thank you, Stan. We're trying to do as much as we can, and we love seeing you guys comment, and love seeing you guys' opinions, and we need more, because really I'm not gonna bitch and moan for people to like and subscribe and all this stuff, but I would love for people to comment. Commenting is really, I think, the coolest thing you can do, because then not only are we going to be going back and forth, it's going to literally dictate the direction of the show. You can dictate the direction of the show. How many other institutions, entities allow that to happen? They just don't allow that to happen. I do, because I find it interesting to see where it goes. But LSU versus Baylor here, Texas Bowl preview. This is going to be on New Year's Eve afternoon, and in Houston, Energy Stadium, LSU versus former 2019 assistant Dave Aranda. First time he's playing against LSU in 4 years and 11 months since he left. It's going to be a very, very interesting game. This is going to be a hard-hitting game. Baylor have a very read and react defense, but they're fast. They don't do a lot of blitzing, but there's a lot of hard hitting. And here's the thing. This defense, their leader in sacks, has 4.5 sacks. They don't get a lot of pressures that actually pay off in the end. They don't get home. So that gives our offensive line a lot of hope, because that's probably one of the key spots I'm going to be watching as well. Not probably, definitely. The offensive line for LSU, because this is going to be a new offensive line. You will not have Will Campbell in this game. You will not have Emory Jones in this game. You will not have Garrett Dellinger in this game. You will have Miles Frazier in this game. He will be playing in this game, and I don't know for how long, but hopefully long enough to make his mark and for LSU to build some type of lead and then hand it off to some young guys to get some important key snaps. But another thing that would be cool too is just to see these young guys absolutely know, Weston Davis at right tackle. We haven't seen him in a big game moment or a game moment at all really this year. Let's see what happens with him at right tackle. Throw him in there. Tyree Adams replacing Will Campbell at left tackle. That's going to be very interesting. And Tyree Adams has fought through a lot of weird injuries this year. That hernia surgery thing that he had, crazy. And then he was back from that surgery within a week, playing a few snaps for LSU before Kelly thought, what am I doing? I can't play this kid. This is crazy. Beau Bordelon, he hasn't played much for LSU. This is going to be a big game for him. 2 years at LSU, end of his second year at LSU, and finally he gets his first start. It looks like he will. You also have Paul Mubenga who could take over that role though for left guard. So that's the thing is, you know what? Let's be real here. As much as I love Beau Bordelon, I think Paul Mubenga is definitely going to start at left guard with his game experience over Beau Bordelon. So you got left guard Paul Mubenga, center DJ Chester, right guard Miles Frazier, right tackle Weston Davis. I'm not sure if that will be the exact lineup. But there's a lot of times we've gotten these things close just because sometimes it's the law of averages. Sometimes it's, that's just an obvious, this guy will replace that guy type of thing. It's with this offensive line, there's only a few cats who really have that experience, and you've got to like I just did, like I just switched. I just switched Bo Bordelon off of it for Paul Mabenga. Paul Mabenga did not have great games this year when he started. He, in fact, had made some shocking errors. Was bad. Was a big reason why we lost some of those games, as far as the chaos that those blown protections would cause. But he was able to rebound in that final game against Oklahoma, completely turn it around. And regardless, he has game experience, and Bo Bordelon still does not. So Mubenga would have to be there at left guard. I think you could see Miles Frazier pass off to Bo Bordelon for the second half. I could definitely see that. So then you could have Bo Bordelon at right guard. Cohen Eccles is another player, another offensive lineman who was a backup center at one time. Interior guy, can play almost anywhere on the line. I wonder where he will pop up, because it almost might be impossible to predict what position Brad Davis is going to have him play, because he can play almost anywhere, it seems. Cohen Eccles taking snaps at center. You saw him on the interior, all over the place. So LSU will have more firepower than Baylor in this game. LSU will have more on the line at stake if they lose this game, in my opinion. Like Brian Kelly's not going to be fired. Brian Kelly's not going to be under any type of anything if he loses this game. I'm not trying to say that. But I think LSU would want to win this game more. The desire is going to be more, the impetus is going to be more, the talent is going to be more on LSU's side, in my opinion. I think they have more talent than this Baylor team. There are better players on this LSU team than this Baylor team. And if I'm proven wrong, okay, and Baylor literally out-physical LSU, are more aggressive than LSU, get up in that ass with LSU, I'll be seriously like, okay, you don't just need 15 guys from the portal. You need 35. We can't see that again for LSU. We can't see that again. Can't. LSU cannot lose this game to Baylor, because while Baylor had a good season, while Baylor was a competitive football team, LSU is a better team than this Baylor team. They played against better talent week in, week out. But here's the thing. It never matters anymore. It used to equal that, right? Georgia would play Hawaii in the Sugar Bowl, and Georgia would just barely be this close to getting to a championship game, but lose to Alabama in the SEC title game or something, and then have to play Hawaii in the Sugar Bowl. And then they would absolutely just destroy Hawaii, because Hawaii, has this magical season with June Jones and Colt Brennan, and it doesn't matter, because they don't play anywhere near the galaxy of talent that Georgia does. You go and you play against each other. The talent that's on Georgia is a galaxy far, far away from the talent on Hawaii's team, and they're just destroyed. Sometimes these bowl games now, due to opt-outs, due to, I'm going to the NFL, I don't want to play in this meaningless game, due to injuries, due to late season injuries, due to all sorts of transfer portal departures, you're seeing the field being leveled a bit more, evened up, and you're seeing some results that kind of wouldn't happen 10 years ago, wouldn't happen 5 years ago. But they do now because of the portal, because of NIL, because of possibilities where a college football playoff team, a team with a chance to win a championship, a very good chance to win a championship, is literally having to pay half of their roster, the best players on their roster, to stay. please don't leave. Please don't leave. You can leave in, the spring portal or whatever, but just please stay so we can win a championship. Here, we'll pay you. Like, that has had to happen to keep some of these guys on their team. Like, it's the NIL college football world has literally, the gates have been blown off the doors. We need regulations. As we said in the last show, when you have signing day for the next recruiting class, and then you got the transfer portal, you got conference championship game weekend, and an extended college football playoff. How in the hell can a head coach even cover any of that in what, like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the most in December? How is that even possible? I mean, yes, they have to have large staffs and basically surrogate head coaches doing all this stuff for them. But wow, it's just surely there's another way, and that would be let's move the schedule, let's change the schedule, let's get together and figure out the best ways to do this. When should the portal open? When should this thing be shut? Maybe not. Maybe don't open the portal right after the final regular season game and right before the bowl games and the conference championship games, because then it almost incentivizes players to leave before they have to play in what they would dub a meaningless game. And, what I love about LSU is you haven't seen much of this garbage affect LSU. Yes, they can cry about Malik Neighbors only played a quarter last year, blah, 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 and got his record and then left. Blah, blah, blah. That was a Brian Kelly decision. You're only playing to get your record and then you're done. If I were you, I wouldn't even be playing in this game. But okay, you want to play in this game, you want to get that record, and I get why he wants to get the record. Who wouldn't want to get the record? It's the all-time receiving record in LSU history by 25 yards. Of course you're playing in that game. Of course you're getting that record. And then when you get that record in a game where LSU was already up 21-0, let's have you sit down. Or no, that game LSU was in a back and forth there against Wisconsin, down double digits at multiple times, but Garrett Nussmeier would ultimately lead the team to victory. So, it was a good game. It was a game that, of course, Neighbors would have made a difference in, but that was Brian Kelly's decision. And I think that's what needs to happen at this point. Coaches need to protect the guys who it's just the sensible thing to do that they don't play. They don't get, a Matt Castle type of injury. Or no, I'm not saying Matt Corral. Yeah. A Matt Corral injury like he suffered in the Ole Miss game in the Sugar Bowl that basically ruined his draft career and his future. That's something that kills and haunts a career for a coach. And so I don't know. I don't really understand. I understand, like, saying, hey, that guy quit on his team, whatever. Like, you can have that opinion about it and criticize it. I don't really understand it. Like, there's so much money on the table. You would do the same. It's like, it's so virtue signaling to me. It's annoying. Like, it's like, no, you would do the same thing. Shut up. Like, if there was $100 million on the table, even $10 million on the table, 15, $5 million, $1 million on the table, you're doing the same thing. If there's $100,000 on the table, you're doing the same thing. There's $50,000 on the table. So what are you doing talking about this to a dude like Cam Ward, who's about to probably sign like a $15 million per year contract? Like, shut up. Like, I get it. he could on his team. Like, yeah, his team lost, and he could have played and could have made the difference. What if he plays in that game, they win, but he tears his ACL? Are you going to go visit him in the hospital? Are you going to go help him through his recovery? Are you going to make sure that the team insures him health insurance-wise and are going to be there for him to help him recover? And oh, what about his draft possibilities? Because now, literally, he's out of eligibility. That's his last game. So what? In his only draft, he's torn his ACL right before. That is a disaster, a nightmare, a future, a life-changing moment. Do not think about it lightly. And so I don't really understand the debate there. Anybody else would do it. So it just seems kind of strange to me. This, to me, is going to be a sloppy, wild, crazy game. And I think it's going to end up with a 38-35 win for LSU. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a game where LSU's defense just aren't playing well. Just sloppy in the tackling, sloppy in the run fits, getting beat on the edges. Some big plays, though, defensively as well. Some turnovers forced. It's going to be a chaotic, crazy game. I think Garrett Nussmeier is going to throw a lot of yards. I think Caden Durham is going to have a big game. Aaron Anderson, another who's due for a game. This game is going to be a score fest. It's going to be a weird fest. And it's going to get very crazy and very bizarre with LSU pulling this out in the end, 38-35. I foresee, I could see it, the point total being like 45-35 even more. Like, we haven't seen LSU score over 40 points many times this season. So I thought sticking to the mid to high 30s would be more prudent. But everybody, this has been our LSU Baylor preview show. Our MVP for this game. Last time it was Garrett Nussmeier for that game against Wisconsin where he went off. But this time, I'm going to go with Whit Weeks. 12 tackles, 2 key forced fumbles, one of them which he recovers. And he also forces a safety in this game. That is huge and decisive as well. Matt Williams says, Lon, the man, thanks for all the hard work, brother. Matt, thank you, my good dude. Thank you for watching and thank you for joining us, brother. Like, this is crazy and it's an honor. This is what we do, and we'll continue to do that. Oh, yeah, it will be. That's right. It is defensive and offensive MVPs. So you're right. So there will be an offensive MVP. Offensive MVP, you'd probably be wise to pick Nussmeier, but I really don't care about being like right or anything. But I would love to see. I'd love to see Aaron Anderson go for like 178 yards and really pad the stats with 3 touchdowns, because he hasn't had the chance to show that off too much this year, where like you just throw him these yards after catch machine type of plays, like the slant against who was it? Against A&M, that slant against A&M. That's the type of play I'm talking about, where you're throwing him a route where he can catch it and run and create with his legs after the catch. You didn't see that very much this year, but when you did, it was explosive. So that's why I think in a game like this, what would be beautiful to see is Sloan understanding that and feeding this slot machine of a weapon in Aaron Anderson and letting him go off for 178 yards, 3 touchdowns, really padding the touchdown numbers after what an incredible year he's had for LSU. So you got Whit Weeks on the defensive MVP, and you got Aaron Anderson offensive MVP, and LSU beating Baylor 38-35. This will go down in just less than 48 hours for kickoff. And in 2 days, it'll be kickoff right now. So LSU playing their final game of 2024 season, December 31st, start time right there in the afternoon against former 2019 defensive coordinator Dave Aranda. LSU versus Dave Aranda. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very strange game with a lot of different subplots as you watch Gabe Relaford, Ahmad Bro, Dominic McKinley, Devon Keys, Deshaun Spears, Javian Tobion, all these younger guys rise from the shadows, and we'll see what they're capable of. Everybody, have a hell of a Sunday. We'll be talking to you soon. Jerry Zimmerman's got a 31-24 score line there. Everybody, take it easy. Jerry, Matt, who else is here? Stan, Tyler, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Have a hell of a night, and we'll be talking to you soon. Reese's Pieces, go Tigers, baby.